I'm here with Sparkle and Deer. Right after the homestand opening victory against the Toronto Refined. An interesting match where it was really... It's not a 3-0 necessarily that felt like a stomp, but actually a 3-0 where you had to get back into the match a couple of times. So, how did the game feel to you?
1세트 때 솔직히 좀 위험했는데, 왜냐하면 제가 좀 많이 못했거든요. 저 좀 손을 많이 떨어가지고 좀 약간 위험한 상황이 좀 많이 나왔는데, 그래도 이제 2세트부터는 다들 손도 풀리고 이제 긴장도 안 하는 것 같아가지고 그때부터는 좀 쉽게 이겼던 것 같아요.
In regards to the first map, I feel like we were definitely a lot shakier and it was quite visible. And I know that because I didn't do very well and my hands were trembling quite hard. And there were many moments where we were at the risk of losing, but we somehow came back. And then after that, I feel like a lot of us were warmed up and a lot of our nerves went away. And from then on, I feel like the game went a lot more smoothly.
Do you feel you had extra pressure because you played in front of a home crowd, or is that always just going to be a little bit different to play in front of a crowd in general?
솔직히 제가 오프라인 경기 때 많이 안 떨거든요. 근데 이제 저희 홈스탠드고 이제 팬들 앞에서 경기를 하니까 그게 좀 많이 떨렸던 것 같아요. 항상 옛날엔 오프라인 경기할 때는 저희 팬들이 오는 게 아니라 그냥 저희 팬분들도 물론 있겠지만 이제 다른 팀 팬분들도 많이 오시기 때문에 그런 느낌이 없었는데 저희 팀 팬분들이 많으니까 좀 떨렸어요.
So in the past, I must say that I used to never get nervous in front of a crowd at a live event. But given that today's match was in front of our own fans, it was our home stand, and it's been a while since we went and played an offline match. It felt a little different, especially because in my past experience at a live event, it used to be like a mixed crowd. I'm sure that we had our fans of our own, but there were many people who were fans of the opposing team. And today, just thinking about and seeing with my eyes that it was all pretty much majority Dallas fan, it made me quite nervous today.
Sure. Now, you had the choice as the second place team to pick your opponent, and it was quite interesting to see that you guys picked Toronto. Did you think that was the easiest opponent for you guys, or was there another reason?
솔직히 지금 서구팀 올라온 팀이 솔직히 다 거기서 거기거든요. 다 잘해가지고 어떤 팀을 고르든 솔직히 지금 경기랑 비슷했을 것 같은데 그냥 이제 저번 경기 때 토론토가 저희한테 좀 많이 아무 힘도 못 주고 졌잖아요. 그래가지고 토론토가 그때랑 비슷하게 저희한테 좀 약간 쫄 것 같아가지고 뽑은 것 같아요.
So the current state of West, I would say that all the teams are about the same. They're all very, very good. And given that we picked Toronto, it was really based on our past match against them. It felt like they kind of felt like they were a little more powerless. They didn't really know what to do. And at the time when we were doing the selection, we felt like, oh, maybe this team is scared, or maybe we scared them off enough so that this next match against them would be easier. So I think that's why we went with Toronto Defiant.
Okay. Now, it felt like initially in the first week you guys played Doom. Then you sort of found out that this is maybe not what you want to continue playing. You switched to the Zarya comps. And then for a while, it seemed like the Doom comps were actually not doing very well, and your switch was genius. Now the Doom comps are back. Have you thought about that? And what do you generally think about Doomfist in the current meta?
그냥 항상 그 리그 시작 전에 자리아가 좋은 거를 느껴가지고 이제 둠피도 그때 좋은데 이제 하다 보니까 자리아가 더 좋은 걸 알게 돼가지고 자리아를 좀 많이 썼던 건데 오늘은 솔직히 둠피 조합을 의도해서 쓴 건 아니고 그냥 어쩌다 보니까 이제 그런 상황이 와가지고 둠피를 쓴 것 같아요.
So even before the league season started, we were aware that Zarya is a good tank. Just as much as Doomfist, we knew that those two were the tanks that we might see more often. But as we practiced more and more, we thought that Zarya is just maybe a better pick, potentially for us, and that's why we swapped over to Zarya comp. But I feel like the Doomfist comp that you saw today was sort of unintentional. It was more situational, and and I'm not sure if there's anything else to add on to that.
Sure. Now, we talked to Wub, the new recruit of the Paris Eternal, and he said that the reason why the league has been playing so much Genji in the past weeks, more so early in the season, was because you like to play it, then made it seem like the strongest pick, and then everyone copied you. Do you think there's any truth to this?
투가 처음 나왔을 때 겐지를 많이 안 썼거든요. 근데 제가 쓰고 이제 다 잡으니까 다른 팀들 막 겐지를 쓰는 거예요. 근데 막 다른 팀들 얘기 들어보면 막 겐지로 막 다 신다는데 일단 저희 다 이겼거든요. 잘한 거.
So yeah, I do think that that's true. When we started playing Overwatch 2 as well, I started playing Genji, and we did really well. And I noticed that a lot of other teams were trying to abuse that as well, so they started playing Genji. And I noticed that not a lot of teams were successful with Genji. Meanwhile, we were just kind of smashing it with Genji the entire time. So I do believe that that's true.
For sure. Now, another interesting meta strategy that other teams have done is playing the Reinhardt comps, and it's mainly the case for the London Spitfire, but also we saw the Los Angeles Gladiators, who might be playing that into you guys this week. Given that you had the success with the Reinhardt comps in Stage 1 last year, have you tried around playing it with Fearless at all, or is that not a comp you think that is strong in the meta right now?
자리아로도 라인을 카운터 칠 수 있는 걸 알아가지고 그때부터는 그냥 저희는 자리아에 거의 투자를 많이 한 거.
So yes, we definitely did try Fearless, or made Fearless play Reinhardt, and we tried the Reinhardt comp in the past at a very earlier stage during our practice, and eventually we found out that Zarya is good enough to counter that Reinhardt comp, and I feel like that's when we just started investing more into Zarya comps.
Okay. Now, we noticed one thing, for instance, May, especially on Control Center, which seems like a sign of Rascal's coaching. In what other ways does Rascal help you guys out? And does he specifically help you with your Genji or whatever in the micro adjustments?
솔직히 메이 컨트롤 센터에서 메이 쓴 거는 동준이 형 의견인지는 솔직히 잘 모르고요. 이제 뭐 메이나 뭐 에코 뭐 이런 거 할 때는 솔직히 동준이 형이 피드백을 진짜 잘해줘가지고 지금 저도 메이 같은 게 많이 잘해줬다는 걸 느끼고 있는데 겐지나 이제 제가 좀 자신 있는 캐릭터들은 제가 워낙 알아서 잘 해가지고 딱히 피드백 해줄 게 없는 것 같아요.
I'm not sure if it was Rascal's opinion or if it was his decision that ended up, I guess, solidifying our comp at the Control Center map. But I can say that he is definitely a good coach when it comes to playing Mei or Echo. So I do agree that I have improved a lot on Mei. As for something like Genji is just a hero that I know so well that I don't think there's really much feedback that he can give me.
Fair enough. Now, you have a couple of matches coming up, and of course you probably want to win in front of your home crowd. Which team do you think is your biggest rival in achieving just that?
샌프란시스코 쇼크인 것
I think it would be San Francisco Shock.
Why does he think that?
스크림을 좀 최근에 많이 했거든요. 쇼크랑은 아예 정반대 그 조라서. 근데 서로 비슷비슷한 실력인 것 같고, 또 이제 지금 1, 2등이다 보니까 그런 라이벌 의식이 좀 있는 것 같아요. 쇼크도 그렇고.
We've been scrimming each other a lot more often since we're in different brackets. And I feel like through that, I find that we are quite similar in a lot of aspects. And given that we're the first and second seed, I think it's just natural to think of each other as a rival currently.
Right. Then I guess as a last question, considering I think most of the community realized that Sparkle is the star player for the Dallas Fuel, it would be interesting to know what he thinks about Proper, who once again played a great match today. What does he think about Proper as a player?
프로퍼 선수를 옛날부터 많이 상대해오고 또 오래 봤는데 진짜 잘하는 선수이기도 하고 누구랑 비교해도 솔직히 제일 잘한다는 선수이기 때문에 만약에 쇼크랑 상대할 때는 진짜 그냥 재밌을 것 같아요. 오히려 프로퍼 선수랑 옛날부터 경기할 때 솔직히 지진 않았거든요. 그래서 이번에도 그냥 뭐 이기거나 비비거나 둘 중에 하나 하겠습니다.
So I've known Proper for a very long time since we've played each other. I mean, as long as I remember. So he is a very good player, almost incomparable to any other players that are just as good, and other players that we all say that are good. So I believe that once we actually go against each other, it's just going to be a fun match in the end. Although I have to say this, I've never lost against him in the past, so it'll be quite fun. It'll be interesting. It'll be either I will win or it's going to be very close.
For sure. Then we wish you the best of luck with that, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you.